5 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and we'll declare the meeting open. At this time, I'm going to ask Councilman Sophie to lead us in the pledge and invocation.
Join the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity for us to gather together. Please watch over us as we make decisions that are in the best interests of the citizens, employees of this city. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. All right, so we have two sets of minutes to approve. We've got the minutes of the called City Council Budget Planning Meeting of April 27th and the regular City Council meeting minutes of May 21st.
Mr. Mayor, I move to accept both.
Okay?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll open public hearing. Linda, if you'll read B1 for us, please.
Final Statement Action Plan for Program Year 2018 Community Development Block Grant.
Okay, thank you. Steve?
So we're bringing forward our action plan for the community block grant for this year as we do annually. We will be looking this a little bit more in detail at our budget workshop, but this is part of a process and the steps we've gone through with public notification and public hearings on our plan, which our grant this year for upcoming for $368,000 and how we're going to use those funds for the public. One thing I wanted to do is introduce Michelle Adams. Where's she at? Michelle, stand up. She has taken on the responsibility of overseeing our community development block grant with our retirement of Teresa Cottle that did it for so many years. Michelle's been doing a great job. She's I know that's a lot to this program, but she's doing a great job of administering it. And if we have questions, I think between Michelle and I, we could answer them. One thing I would say with the plan that you guys will see is a couple of things we really want to focus on this year, being consistent with what we believe is council direction, and that is things that really impact the community when it comes to infill development and demolition of substandard structures. We're investing more funds toward that. We're investing more funds toward park and public space improvement. Things that such as maybe for making public buildings like Kid Key Auditorium handicap accessible, things like that. That money could be spent toward, and park projects and things such as that nature. We've have a little less focus on the individual home rehab, although we do have money still in our program for that. We have just shifted some of the emphasis more on public spaces and park improvements and substandard structure. And again, we look to go into more detail on that at council budget workshop, so we can kind of get off in the weeds then. But if there are any questions at this time, we would be glad to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay, no one? All right, Linda, if you'll read B2 for us, please.
Ordinance 6122, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman providing for permanent speed limit 30 miles per hour signs on Shepherd Drive between U.S. Highway 75 West Service Road and Farmington Road within the city limits of the City of Sherman, Texas, providing for a penalty provision, providing for severability, providing for a repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Clint?
Shepherd Drive was recently repaved by our Public Works Department, and as a result of that, you can go faster on the road. And so it became necessary pretty much immediately. We knew that we needed to post 30-mile-an-hour speed limit signs there. All of the streets in Sherman, if they're unposted, are 30, but we felt that area was necessary to put those signs. They have been there for 90 days, and we haven't had any concerns or calls about them. So we just recommend that these signs be adopted.
Thank you, Clint. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? No? Okay. Linda, if you'll read B3 for us, please.
Ordinance 6123, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman providing for permanent stop signs on Canyon Creek Drive at Lambeth Road, on Canyon Creek Drive at Shady Oaks Lane, on Shady Oaks Lane at Canyon Creek Drive, on Bandera Drive at Shady Oaks Lane, on Canyon Creek Drive at Heritage Parkway, and on Overland Trail at Heritage Parkway within the city limits of the City of Sherman, Texas, providing for a penalty provision, providing for severability, providing for a repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you. Clint?
So part of these are a result of Canyon Creek Drive extension. When we extended that through all the way to Lambeth Road, we installed a stop sign at Lambeth Road, and then we also installed a four-way stop at Shady Oaks and Canyon Creek Drive. And then in doing that, we kind of looked at the entire area to make sure that there was ordinances for all the existing stop signs in the O'Hanlon area. And we did find three, two of them along 1417, where Canyon Creek Drive intersects 1417 and where Overland Trail intersects there, and then also where Bandera Drive intersects Shady Oaks, that there were existing stop signs there, but we had never actually approved an ordinance for those. So we're kind of cleaning those up on this same ordinance. Again, all of them have been installed for 90 days, and we have not had any concerns or any citizen comments.
Thank you, Clint. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? No? All right, Linda, if you'll read B4 for us.
Ordinance 6124, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman providing for permanent stop signs on Peggy's Cove at Park Avenue and on Southridge Lane at Park Avenue within the city limits of the City of Sherman, Texas, providing for a penalty provision, providing for severability, providing for a repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you. Clint?
More stop signs. There will also be more as Magnolia Village comes up, Austin Landing. There's several developments that are starting to be in that 90-day range. These two are in a result of Pebblebrook South. There were two additional blocks south of Park that have just been accepted by the city. And with the increased traffic volume of that neighborhood to the south of Park, it was needed to install two stop signs at Peggy's Cove and Southridge Lane. Again, it's been 90 days, and we have not received any concerns or comments.
Okay. Thank you, Clint. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? No? Okay. This time, we'll close the public hearing and consider the adoption of ordinance number 6122, 6123, and 6124. Council, any questions?
Motion to approve 61, 22, 23, and 24.
Second.
Okay. Motion seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. We are down to Resolution 6375. Linda, if you'll read that for us, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing certification of a state-sanctioned cultural district in downtown Sherman for at least 10 years to be named the Sherman Cultural District, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. We do have former Mayor Kerry Wacker with us, also representing Austin College. If you'll come forward, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. I appreciate the steps that you and working with the staff have already taken toward creating the Sherman Cultural District. There's a lot of excitement around town about this endeavor. As you know, this has been about an 18-month process that you've seen back to the January 2017 Jan term class that came and presented, but it really goes all the way back to the 2009 comprehensive plan, which really called out the importance of the arts in Sherman and for Sherman's future. So in that time period, we've engaged a lot of community partners in the process up to this point. So as outlined in your packets tonight, we're now in the final steps before the June 15th submission deadline next Friday, a week from Friday. to the Texas Commission on the Arts. And this week, our team is working on just the submission materials, putting the finishing touch on the application form, on the video, on a new website, completing marketing and strategic plans. And just all this is based on a series of community meetings we've had over several years, but most recently the town hall meetings, where a number of people came and gave some really great input on what they'd like to see in a cultural district. So I just wanted to elaborate very briefly on a couple of points tonight of items in your packet. First, the cultural district project really does not require an expanded budget commitment from the city. We plan to leverage the existing tourism budget by packaging all the arts activities that we have going on, using social media, and working with Sarah. I've been meeting with her to talk about how we can look at this budget, her budget strategically, and add as needed some items regarding arts and cultural activity that we may not otherwise be promoting, but would be tourist draws to this town. So we plan to use that. And then beyond the city's budget, we are very excited. You may have heard a couple of weeks ago that Austin College was able to announce that we've been recommended for funding for the National Endowment for the Arts Our Town program. That's a $50,000 grant, which will be matched by another $50,000, so a total of just a little over $100,000 in that budget to bring public art and community-generated projects into downtown Sherman, because that's the focus of that grant. So that's a significant commitment, we think, to advancing the arts in downtown, and we're excited about being able to share that. If the city were to receive the official cultural district status from the state of Texas, then of course the city would be eligible for additional grant funds through the state. So that would be a real bonus for us, I think. And then in terms of other potential budget impact, we've handled the personnel side by putting together a team from Austin College that will provide the manpower to promote and communicate around cultural district activities. So that will be student interns and staff and faculty who are already engaged in the arts. As you know, Austin College hosts the Sherman Symphony, the Sherman Community Series, and we interface with a lot of other arts groups. So it's really a natural partnership there. So the second item that's in your packet, beyond the resolution of support, is for a memorandum of understanding for the parameters of how Austin College will work with the city. I appreciate the mayor's input on that, again, as well as city staff. We will be hosting a cultural district advisory committee that will serve as the arts advocacy group, that will be a broad-based community representation to help us network and communicate and plan arts activities so that everyone is really strengthened in this process. So if you do authorize that MOU, we will be reporting to you quarterly, and we anticipate a lot of activity to report, because we've discovered, as you know, there's a lot going on, but we've realized even more things, because in this process, as we've done an inventory of cultural activity and businesses, we've discovered that there are 27 arts and design-based businesses in downtown Sherman already. There are 27 or 28, depending on how you count it, separate arts-based events that happen throughout the year. So we have an amazing community, lots going on, a great story to tell. I'm really looking forward to all that will come about because of this process. And I do want to take a moment tonight, before you all get to your consideration, to thank a number of people who have been part of this process, helping put together various materials. Quite a few of them are in the audience tonight. If they don't mind standing, I invited them to come along. Anybody who's been working with cultural district process, a lot of key partners, and then some who were not able to come tonight. But I am just very grateful for the commitment that the stakeholders in this community have to making sure that Sherman continues as a real destination for the arts. So thank you, guys, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, but I'll leave it to you to look at your items, and I'll come back up if needed. So thank you.
Thanks. Council, any questions?
No questions.
Brandon, can we take these together?
Sure. If you put it, mention both the resolutions in the same motion.
Okay.
76.
Yeah, Linda, go ahead and read 6376, so we have it on record.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of a memorandum of understanding defining roles and responsibilities between the City of Sherman and Austin College regarding oversight of the Sherman Cultural District program. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Make a motion?
Make a motion
Okay. For both.
for both of them, 6375 and 6370.
I second that.
All right, motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Linda, if you'll read 6377 for us, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of an encroachment easement to Quick Trip for the installation of a 154-square-foot, 10-foot by 10-inch tall monument sign within a 20-foot sewer easement on the north property line of Lot 1, Block 1 of Sherman Landing, Phase 1 in the City of Sherman, Texas. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Clint?
Quick Trip has made a request to install one of their monument signs closer to the right-of-way, and unfortunately, there's a sewer line that goes right where they're wanting to put their sign. So they've coordinated with us to verify that the construction of that sign will not affect the sewer line at all, and they've agreed to an encroachment agreement for that, and staff sees no reason not to accept it.
All right, council, any questions?
Move to approve.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Linda, if you'll read 6378 for us.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman renewing guidelines and criteria for the City of Sherman's industrial and commercial tax abatement program to promote development, redevelopment in certain areas of the city. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you. Mary?
Yes, every 2 years, the council is required to re-adopt our policy on tax abatements. We've updated the policy for a few things this time, mostly to require additional information, such as we're asking an applicant about depreciation information on the property that they're asking to be abated, water usage, sales tax generated during construction, expected source of labor, just things that, looking back, we would have liked to have known. We've also updated the policy to lower the abatement value minimum from $10 million to $5 million. Really reflects what we already do, and to allow the abatement to be deferred. Right now, the policy states the abatement starts the next year. Well, we know sometimes construction doesn't follow that schedule, so we already do allow for that deferral, so this just puts that in our policy.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. Council, any questions on this item?
Mr. Mayor, move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Linda, if you'll read 6379 for us.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing publication of the proposed final statement action plan for the Community Development Block Grant for program year 2018, authorizing submission of the block grant application, authorizing execution of the certifications of compliance in connection with the administration and conduct of the Community Development Program for program year 2018. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed as and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Steve?
Yes, this is related to, as we discussed earlier, the Community Development Block Grant. And we are asking authorization to submit our final action plan and for publication, and submission of the grant process, and just finalize the paperwork that needs to be finalized on that.
Council, any questions on this item? Okay.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are down to citizens' request. I have a couple of cards. Vicki, if you want to come forward, make your presentation.
City Councilman, City Manager. Yes, I am delighted. I am the president of the Sherman Museum Board of Trustees, and we have a new director, and we have a new assistant director. In fact, we have a whole new staff. But anyway, the executive director is here tonight, and I would like to introduce her, please. This is Betsy Ditterman. She comes to us from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She is a graduate in museum studies at Texas Tech University, which we're proud of. Right. So I'll let her tell you more about herself, but she was raised in Wichita Falls. And one thing, when we were doing our search, we were looking for North Texas people who love our history about North Texas, and Betsy certainly does. The other person that we have hired is Natalie Bonner. That she has just gotten a job with the city on the recreation staff, so a part-time, because we can only pay part-time. But she was raised in Rockwall and went to the University of Texas A&M at Commerce. So anyway, we're delighted to have two North Texas people, serving the museum. So Betsy, you'll see.
Great.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and council members and city manager. Thank you so much for having me here. I am a native Texan. I was born and raised in Wichita Falls, as Dickie said. I went to Midwestern State University for my first degree and worked in the medical field for about 28 years. And then needed a new direction in my life, so went to Texas Tech to get my master's in museum sciences, and I have a minor in heritage management with a specialty in historic preservation. So I'm very interested in the historic buildings in the city. I've not spent a lot of time in Sherman, and I confess to that, but I did spend most of my adult life in Denton, which is not too far. So we all share that common heritage of being North Texas and Southern Oklahoma. So I hope that helps in my position here. I do look forward to strengthening the partnership with the city and working together to promote tourism for all of us, because that is what it's about, bringing people in and showing our community and showing off our community, and hopefully they'll stay, right? So thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be in Sherman. Thank you.
Betsy, yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to address the council this evening? Okay. Billy, got any? No, that was both of them. Okay. All right, council comments. Councilman Holland, I'm going to start with you this evening.
Love the new motorcycle. Great job, guys.
I'll second that. I'm still waiting for my test drive, but haven't got that. And I was wondering about that stop sign on Overland. I thought, if there hasn't been a stop sign there this entire time, but good to know I wasn't. I was already preparing myself to stop, I guess.
There was one there, we just didn't have the ordinance
I figured that out. No, that's all I've got.
No comments.
Mr. Mayor. Same here.
All right. Three announcements, actually. Hot Summer Nights kicks off this Thursday, June 7th. This is very exciting. We're really excited to bring 90s rock band Fuel to Sherman for a free show on the municipal building lawn. And new for this year, we're teaming up with the Old Iron Post Restaurant in downtown Sherman to have opening acts starting at 7 p.m. each week. This Thursday, it will be a couple of local boys called ACTC opening for Fuel. So make plans to get there early and get your place on the lawn. Now, I understand they're going to be playing at Old Iron Post after the main concert, right? Yes. All right. That's awesome. The next week, we'll be hosting Mark Chestnut and his 20 top 10 country hits. The opening act will be Little Big Iron, and they really are one of the best bands in Texoma. It's going to be a fun time. Finally, our wonderful Parks and Rec Department has started their annual Monday Madness program. Next Monday, June 11th, they'll be hosting Critter Man, which is always a fun favorite. So bring out the kiddos to the municipal ballroom each Monday at 2 p.m.
That's cool.
All right. So we're real excited about Hot Summer Nights. Y'all be sure and come out for that. The City Council will now hold a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act at Section 551.071 to consult with the city attorney concerning pending or contemplated litigation and on a matter in which the city attorney's duty under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter, At section 551.074 to consider appointments to boards and commissions, and at section 551.087 to deliberate regarding economic development negotiations. So at 5:25, we'll dismiss into executive session. Thank you.